What is spiritualism? The word spirit is filled with mystery and intrigue. The word spirit arises within the conversation of every scientist, clergyman, and person looking for inner truth and enlightenment. It is amazing how every creature is connected to spirit. The true reality is that air is spirit, and no living being can sustain life without it. Every person who breathes in is a spiritual person. Notice each living thing reflects spirit in individual ways. Spiritualism is a study of how certain energies produce specific spiritual signature. In other words, the spiritualist is one who obtains a state of consciousness that allows them to sense the nature of surrounding spiritual forces. The true spiritualists make great seers, metaphysicians, and counselors. Some people doubt the spiritual world because spirit is vast, unknown, and immeasurable, yet somehow personal. Some are even afraid of the spirit world, even though they exist in it daily. As we stated before, the air we breathe is spirit. Therefore, with each breath we consume, we manifest as spiritual beings. Most matters of old teach of spiritual energies centered deep within us. The 7 spiritual centers of energy contained within each of us are called the chakras. They manifest within our 4 bodies. The 4 energies of creation have constantly coexisted within each of us since our very first breath of life. In fact, the Holy Spirit, or holy breath, is the first act of the Creator God. And God breathed upon the earth and said, "Let there be light." In the truest sense, we are beings of spirit and light. We always were and we always will be. The dictionary defines a living being as anything that consumes oxygen. The words spirit, spiritual, and inspiration, or inspired, are all derived from the same root word. Original thought is transferred to us through the air we breathe. That brings up the question, what is reality? Is the product of the mind reality, or the thought which caused the product the reality? We all look at the directions of our product, thinking mistakenly that things we have created is the real thing. But just stop for a minute and think. If you send a cablegram, you write your thoughts in words. The thoughts of that cablegram is in your head. The words you write upon paper are symbols which are meaningless to anyone who cannot interpret them to know the thoughts we had. You send that cablegram across a wire. Instead of words, you now have other symbols, electric waveforms in a wire or in space, which are, again, transformed into dots and dashes on paper. Are any of those series of symbols the thought or the reality? Have they any meaning in themselves, or have they meaning only in the mind of the person who finally interprets them. I say that the real substance of any product whatsoever is not in the product at all, but only in the thought behind the product. The thought itself is never created. It is but given symbolic form. Dr. Walter Russell. Mind directs all we co-create. We must ask ourselves a serious question. Where does a thought or mental impression to create come from? Right, the air or creative spirit we breathe. The spirit we seek of influence and directs all living things. Pureness of thought depends greatly on the pureness of the air or spirit we consume. All things exist in 4 dimensions, for spirit to mind to feeling to creative matter. A true spiritual person is one who enjoys greater health, healing abilities, knowledge, and spiritual enhancement of all 4 planes. The principles of truth contained within spiritual knowledge can free anyone from the limitation and boundaries we possess upon ourselves. Without air or spirit, our very brainwave patterns would shut off. Observe people who receive very little fresh air or rejuvenating time in nature. You will find them low in spirit and high in tension, struggling for mental and physical energy. When a person is feeling great, we often say, "May you are high in spirit today." When the sun passes through our atmosphere, it determines our soul growth. If our land becomes poison, we consume toxins. The pure elements reflect all spiritual and vibratory energies. We often take our spiritual self and environment for granted. In the new Aquarian age of spirit, a healthy environment is the most precious gift we can possess. All races and religions around the world must discover the beauty and bounty of the one triune God that set forth in all living, breathing souls. When we speak of the triune God, we refer to God in the purest form. As we stated before, God is a trinity of omnipower, wisdom, and love. These are the truest qualities of spirit, and all creation, all living souls possess potential greatness when open to the spirit of light. As Jesus once stated, "Where I am, you too shall be." It is for every single soul to know spiritual freedom within themselves. Now, with the new age upon us, we hear more and more people speaking of spiritualism and the Holy Spirit. When John met Jesus, by Jesus not needing to be baptized by water, was that Jesus was already baptized in spirit, and his thoughts were purified in the Holy Spirit. To be a truly spiritual person, one must be pure in thought, word, and deed. The spirit in which we live is the universal measurement of our growing consciousness. It is the hand of God and the Holy Spirit that creates and sustains all life.